Hi, this is the TV Enemy interview spot, and this time around we've got one of the most prolific and influential hardcore bands.
Where?
Two of them are here, the original members of MDC. I got with me Mike, Dave, and Al. Right, okay, let's turn to Dave. Dave, I want to ask you a few things about the name MDC. Can you give me a bit of background on that?
Yeah, we started in Austin, Texas, and we were actually originally the Stains, and it was about late 1979, early 1980 when we started putting together some words and music with another fellow named Ron Posner and another fellow named Mikey Donaldson. There was another fellow named Frank Morris in there, in and out. Mike and Frank both played bass. And John Wayne died that summer of '79, and there were some punk bands happening in and around the area of Austin. That's where the Butthole Surfers are from, the Big Boys, the Dicks, the Offenders. And it was a great little scene, and everyone, it was like you could be a star for 15 minutes.
So if I get that right, you were brought up in Texas?
Actually not. I was just happened to be living in Austin, Texas. The band was brought up in Austin, Texas, and actually was born in Austin. Al and I are both originally from New York.
And did you call yourselves then Millions of Dead Corpse?
No, we were the Stains. And what happened was we made a little record about a year and a half after that in '81. February we made it. In April we actually put it out. And we sent it off to Creep magazine, and Tim Yohannan from Maximum Rock and Roll and Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys picked it up, and they gave us a call and said they liked it and thought it was interesting, and maybe that we could make it out to California to play. And about the same time, a little earlier actually, a band named Black Flag, who I'm sure you all heard of, came through Austin, and we put on a show, and they slept in my house, and they said, if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. So we packed our bags, and we made 300 copies of that single, John Wayne Was a Nazi, in '81. And we went out to California. We saw a whole big world happening out there in the punk rock field, and it was a lot of fun. But one of the things that happened when we went out to California was we realized there was a few other bands, and one in particular, an old-time band from Los Angeles named the Stains. So we had to think of a new name. And at the same time, we really noticed the cops in Austin were really bad. So you could see the Klan, the Ku Klux Klan, with the cops together. And so it was one of the themes of the band about cops and just how abusive they were with their power. And so when we were out in California, we were playing, and the cops were very abusive towards the kids at the show, beating people up, helicopters, hundreds of cops to hassle, you know, a few hundred people at a show. It was just so brutal. And we started kicking around Dead Cops, and we started writing a song, Dead Cops. And a friend of ours, Buff Parrott from the Dicks, which is a great band, said to us, how about Millions of Dead Cops? And it just stuck from that moment on. So we went home to Texas, we recorded an album, and we named it Millions of Dead Cops. And we have got a bunch of trouble around Borders, and mostly when we do shows and they put our name on a flyer. So we shortened it to MDC just so people who would coming to see our show would know who we are, but not necessarily the cops.
But I kind of think that the movements that are happening are in positive ways. Certainly, apartheid's got to go, you know, and the lack of information and freedom in the black country, so that shit's got to go too, you know.
Please play, Dave.
This is a Michelle Shock song called Secret to a Long Life. Billy Bottle was a poor boy, that's why he robbed the Union Road Bank. He was a sweet-talking ladies' man, or so he led them ladies all to think. Oh, but the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. I say the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. that posse started riding, and Billy started hiding down south. He was shacked up with Maria with her black hair and her ruby red mouth. Oh, but the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. I say the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. Time to go.
No.
News hit Maria's lover, and then Billy ran for cover. Well, don't you know? Oh, when them bullets started flying, Billy says it's time for me to go. Oh, but the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. I say the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. Billy lives up north where the sands and the badlands do blow. But in his dreams he's still south with Maria in the ruby red lips. Oh, but the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. I say the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. Say the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. I say the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go.
Great.
And now we're joined by Matt, our bass player, and Bill, our guitar player, who we are delighted to be here in Bremen with.
That's
in
right.
fact, we have a Bremenite? What do you call a person who's been in or lived in Bremen? For a guitar player.
Bill, I hear you're from the Bay Area. Is that right?
Am I from the
The Bay Area.
I'm from Bayern. I'm Deutsch geboren.
I mean, you live in the Bay Area now. Okay. Can you tell me a bit about the other bands you played with before meeting up with MDC? I mean, you must have had some type of reputation in order to get to know them.
Exodus and Metallica, and I've been playing with Danzig for a while. And who did I play with? I've been playing in various bands since about punk bands since about 1981, something like that. The first band was Intensified Chaos, which is on the first Maximum Rock and Roll sampler, first song, first side. And after that, I was in a band called Special Forces for 3 years. And after that, I played in Fang for 3 years. And that's how I met people in Bremen, was our first Fang tour. Played in Verbal Abuse on VA Rocks Your Liver on that album and played gigs with them. And I also, I have a lot of friends that are musicians in the Bay Area, and I sit in with them. Like when Matt was in Operation Ivy, I sat in with them for some shows, and Sinister Sisters of Satan. Well, Christ on Parade, I'm on one song with a record with them, and that's most of them, I think.
You're probably talking to the guy in the Bay Area who can play more full sets of one band or another of anybody in the Bay Area is Bill.
My first show with MDC, I get down there, we're talking, and I'm having fun, and I've known about them for years. I knew Dave from other, so telling stories. We get down to Los Angeles, and this is great. And we're about to play, and these police come in and break up the show with riot gear, and it was like, fuck, wow, MDC moves at cops. I guess it is crazy, and stuff, and so anyway, that's not bad enough. Dave ended up getting beat up by the cops. Then we go to Echo Park, which is a place in LA where I guess there's a lot of gangs there, and we pull into this alley, and this guy comes out, and I go, hi, how you doing? Just turning around, and he pulls this gun on me, this gang guy, because he thought I was from another gang or something. Yeah, he put it against my head, and I crumbled to the front seat. let me out of here. And we pull out stuff, and it's like crazy. So not only do I start shooting at us. So, this is my first show with MDC. My first show with MDC, I almost get beat up by cops, and then I almost get shot to death in Los Angeles.
We didn't play one note.
We didn't play one note.
It's a statement on this man's intelligence, They won't let him play, they beat him up, and then they try to shoot him on his way out of town, and he's still with us. But we don't have a release date, we haven't even booked a recording studio to lay down the first bass drum track. So,
It'll be a new concept, though. We're going to be playing a lot of disco songs on this record. For the clubs, for the dance clubs, and
Our crossover disco move.
couple lambada numbers.
It's kind of a secret. This is probably the first you're going to hear about
we got the Mormon Tabernacle Choir to do some backgrounds for us, and it ought to be nice.